Throughout human history, great empires, there is no one like America, obviously thousands of miles away from other continents, yet able to achieve such deep global control. The land area of the United States is 9.37 million square kilometers, the fourth largest country in the world. So how did he develop into the world's leading economic and military power? I will make a series of videos to explain the history of American development. This video is the first installment. Currently, the widely accepted theory of early settlement holds that, about 25,000 years ago, the first humans arrived in America via the Bering Road Bridge. These early inhabitants are called the Paleo-Indians. They gradually spread throughout North America. About 11,500 BC, in present-day U.S. territory, one of the earliest cultures emerged, Clovis culture. The culture is known for making Clovis as a significant feature. By about 10,000 BC, Indians have spread across most of North America and differentiated into hundreds of culturally diverse tribes and ethnic groups. At first, these indigenous people hunted wild horses, large animals such as elephants, but as the large animals gradually became extinct, American bison became their main source of food. About 8,900 BC, Folsom culture emerged in this region. This culture may have originated from the Clovis culture, also marked by a unique spearhead. Occupies a large area of central North America. About 6,500 BC, the present-day southwestern United States began to develop ancient Southwest culture. The characteristics of this culture possessing a variety of survival strategies, the development of agriculture, and the unique ceramic style. About 5,000 BC, a group of people set out from Asia, possibly by boat, to northwest North America. First settled in what is now British Columbia, Queen Charlotte Islands. They are located along the Pacific coast, and land migrations established seasonal villages. Summer is used for fishing. It is used to collect food in winter. These Nadnikan populations later developed Athabasca and further divided into three branches: Northern Athabasca, Pacific Coast Athabasca, and the Southern Athabasca. Among them, the Southern Athabasca, we had Apache and Navajo, two language groups. Now Navajo is one of the Nadine languages, the most widely used language, same period. Other ethnic groups, such as those who speak Algonquin-speaking peoples, and people who follow the traditions of the ocean, and the indigenous people known as the Puwe tribesmen, also settled in what is now the western United States. About 4,000 BC, some of the tribes that settled in the Palis Mountains region has developed a unique dialect. These tribes would later form the Seneca, Cayuga Oneida, and other ethnic groups. About 2000 BC, corn cultivation began in the southwestern United States, and then beans, pumpkins, and other crops. It is also gradually becoming a major crop. About 1000 BC, a group of ethnic groups began to settle in central Mississippi Valley, later migrated to the Minnesota area, and divided into two main language branches, Dakota and Lokta. About 600 BC, there's a culture emerging in Ohio today. This cultural group was among the first to build mounds. About 100 BC, a group of indigenous cultures around the first year A. These cultures absorbed the characteristics of surrounding cultures, established the Roberts trading system. This is an early tool, and the commodity trading system covers a vast territory, but by around 500 AD, this culture is also influenced by the wider culture. From 800 AD, the rise of Mississippi culture. This culture is mainly found in modern beauty, central and southern regions of the country, distinguished by the construction of artificial mounds. Its core city is Cahokia, located near present-day St. Louis, Missouri. 12th century heyday. The population of Cahokia is about 20,000. The city revolves around a 30-meter high mound. From 900 AD, the ancestors of the Puwe tribesmen today, Arizona, the border between New Mexico and Colorado, and he began to build his rock house. These foods are city-side. For example, Benito Village, along the Chuck River in New Mexico, inhabited between 828 and 1126 AD, and Cliffs Village, Built between 1190 and 1268, about 1458, the powerful ethnic group of the Iroquois language, Mohawk, Seneca, and others, joined together to form the Iroquois Alliance. The Iroquois were at war with many surrounding tribes. With territorial expansion, Osage, Kalponta, smaller tribes such as the Uzaga were forced to migrate westward. About 1500 AD, inhabited the western part of the Great Basin, Xiao, clay figurine crossing the Rocky Mountains, and they settled on these wide plains. In the 16th century, living in parts of the Iowa area, Xiao, clay figurine, migrated separated. They became known as the Comanche. 1513. Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de Leon be the first to arrive and land today. Europeans in American territory. Due to the local natural scenery, named the region Florida. To commemorate the Spanish Flower Festival. In 1526, the Spaniards try on what is now the continental United States, the establishment of the first San Miguel de Guadalupe. But due to the pandemic and the rebellion that accompanied the African slaves, the colony ultimately failed. In 1528, Spanish explorers, the expedition led by Pablo de Navarro, arrived near Tampa Bay on the Florida peninsula. But a storm caused almost all team member killed. Colonization attempts failed again. In 1540, Spanish explorers Francisco Vázquez de Coronado led the first European expedition across the American Southwest. The farthest reaches the Cache, Kansas area. 1559. The explorer, Cristobal de Luna, is still alive. The city of Pensacola established Santa Maria de Os settlement. But in the same year, the colony was destroyed by a hurricane. In 1565, the Spanish admiral Pedro Menéndez de Aviles, the settlement of St. Augustine was established. This became the mainland territory consistently inhabited. The oldest European settlement, 1567. Spanish explorer Juan Pardo is still alive. This is a village in North Carolina. They built Fort San Juan. This was the first European settlement in the American interior, but it was destroyed 2 years later. In 1570, the Spanish tried to Virginia coast build a Jesuit mission station. But the following year, almost all missionaries were killed by Aboriginal people. In 1562, the French attempted to establish South Carolina coast, establishment of the Charles Ford settlement, but it was abandoned the following year. In 1564, the French tried again, building Fort Caroline on the east coast of Florida. However, due to the conflict with the indigenous people, the settlement was also eventually abandoned. In 1604, the French, in what is now Maine, establishment of settlements on St. Croix. Thus was born the Acadian colony. The colony. Later, it gradually expanded to present-day Canada, Gaspé Peninsula. In 1682, France established the Louisiana colony, make it an administrative district of New France. The colony covers the present-day large swaths of the United States. In 1579, the English captain, Francis Drake, to the shores of present-day California, declared the area as British Crown territory, but it was not actually occupied in 1585. The British were in what is now North Carolina. Roanoke Island establishes Roanoke Colony. This was the first British territory in North America, but the colony ultimately failed. The mysterious disappearance of its inhabitants, therefore, it is called the Lost Colony. In 1587, John White led the British settlement on Roanoke Island again. But due to lack of materials, the settlement was abandoned around 1590. In 1607, during the reign of James I, the British succeeded in North America, established the first stable permanent long settlement, Jamestown. The colony was named Virginia, in memory of the Queen of Innocence, Elizabeth I. In 1620, a ship named the Mayflower, carrying a group of English Protestants who suffered religious persecution to the shores of present-day Massachusetts, established the Plymouth colony. After a year of poor harvests and severe cold, the colonists harvested a good harvest the following summer, autumn of 1621. On the proposal of the colonial governor, people hunt wild ducks, turkey fish, picking corn, there was a celebration. This is the origin of American Thanksgiving. 1628, the British colonists established the Massages Bay Colony. In 1629, New Hampshire was established. John Mason became the first owner. 1632, Maryland, as a haven for Catholics. Established, similar to the colony of Virginia, the residents here are mainly farmers and original growers. In 1636, the Reverend Roger William, due to the treatment of indigenous people by the colonists, and at that time, the religion of the governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, intolerance policy, it was established, jointly with other colonies. Connecticut Colony. The colony was originally traded in fur and tobacco. The main economic activity, in 1691, Plymouth Colony, merger with the Massages Bay Colony. Established Massachusetts Bay State. In 1712, the Carolinas were divided for North Carolina and South Carolina. In 1732, British soldier James Edward Ogle founded the state of Georgia. The state is both a British colony, border, buffer zone, with Florida, Spain. It's also for ex-prisoners and the poor. Colonies that offer opportunities for transformation. Georgia. It was the 13 colonists who later participated in the American Revolutionary War to be established. 1621. The Dutch West India Company established the New Netherland colony. In 1624, the company supported 30 families. Settlement on Manhattan Island. The following year, the island was built under the Most Guarantee. The settlement was also renamed New Amsterdam, become an extension of the New Holland colony. The city is developing rapidly. It soon became an important port and busy business center. 1638, the Swedish New India Company was dispatched by a Belgian business Peter Minuit led the expedition. In the present day, Fort Christina is established in Delaware, USA. Thus was born the new Swedish colony. Over the next 17 years, 12 expeditions from Finland, Asia, Latvia, Norway, Russia, Poland, Germany and Sweden brought settlers. They established multiple settlements, make the colony a multicultural region. In 1655, during the Second Northern War, the Dutch of New Holland conquered New Sweden and renamed it New Jersey. 1663, Carolina established its port city of Charleston, become an important commercial port in the region. 1664, the British conquered the Dutch colony of New Holland, seized the New Most Guarantee, and on this basis, New Jersey was established, New York and the Delaware colony. In 1667, the Treaty of Breda was signed, marked the end of the Second Anglo-Crane War. According to the treaty, Britain agreed to cede the colony of Suriname to the Netherlands in exchange for control of the colony of New Holland and renamed New Amsterdam, New York. In memory of James Stuart, Duke of York, King James II of England. 1673, the Canadian territory of the French colony of New France, expansion to the Great Lakes region, as far as west of Lake Michigan. In 1681, religious thinker and writer William Penn established Pennsylvania as a refuge for religious opinionists. The following year, the city was established. In 1722, the Iroquois tribe, passed by the Iroquois Union, promulgated law of peace. The bill became the Constitution of the Iroquois Union. So far, the native United States has never known to the prototype of the colonial period already done. In the next installment, we will move into the mid-18th century. See how North American colonists went from being the cry for no taxes leads to armed resistance. The opening ceremony of the American Revolutionary War, when 13 colonies were forced to smash the ship. Who would have thought that this would overturn the rule of the British Empire? In the 17th century, with the establishment of multiple settlements, the Spanish eventually settled on the Florida Peninsula and began to explore southwestern North America. The French expanded from the north to the south. A large area of what is now the central United States incorporated into the territory of the new French colonies, and the British successfully consolidated on the eastern edge of present-day U.S. territory control of maritime areas and established 13 famous colonies there. The 13 colonies. It was later divided into 3 regions: New England Colony, Central and Southern Colonies. These colonies were regarded as British overseas territories. It's run by the UK government, but they all have a certain degree of autonomy, and allowing white men to participate in elections. However, in some areas, Jews and Catholics were excluded. Although the British limited these colonies' trade with other European powers, but North America, the British colonies are still among the other British colonies, found a lucrative trading partner. European powers. In the process of establishing colonies in North America, large numbers of black slaves passed through the transatlantic slave trade to North America. Southern colony. Due to a suitable climate and fertile soil, mainly agriculture, it has developed a thriving, grievous economy. This economic model, focusing on the single crop plantation system, relying on large plantations, agricultural exports with slave labor. The main cash crops at that time included tobacco, rice and cotton, the export of these crops in exchange for other imported goods. And that's why the scale of slavery in the southern colony far more than any other North American colony. In the middle colonies, religion, characterized by a high degree of ethnic and economic diversity. The soil is fertile. It has become an important exporter of wheat and other grains. It also benefits from abundant forest resources, wood processing, and shipbuilding. It flourished in the central colonies. Among them, Pennsylvania. The textile industry in Pennsylvania and the steel industry has also achieved impressive development results. The rise of these industries, in addition to the deep estuaries and river resources, prompting New York, Philadelphia, and other important ports, came into being. The New England colonies were rocky due to their terrain, soil not nearly as fertile as the southern and central colonies. But the area is rich in natural resources, including valuable timber. The residents of New England are mostly fishing villages and agricultural communities. The residents are mainly small farmers. Life is relatively self-sufficient. As time goes by, the economy of the region gradually concentrates on handicrafts and trade. People are only interested in that cannot be produced by themselves. In addition, New England, located in an area rich in marine biological resources, it became an important commercial and shipbuilding center. Not only Europe and the South trade hub between the colonies. It is also integrated into the UK's global trade network. New England. We developed a triangular trading system. Get the syrup first in the Andres Islands. Process it into rum. Trade rum for slaves in Africa. Finally, slaves sold to the Martyrs Islands and the southern colonies. Early 18th century, in the cash crop plantations of southern North America, slavery, to replace indentured servitude, became a major source of agricultural labor. Although slavery, legal existence in all 13 British colonies, but the colonial society did not respect slavery. There are differences in religious and moral implications. Due to the high birth rate in the colonies, low mortality rate, the settlements are stable. The population of the North American colonies grew rapidly. 1740, South. A sect called the First Great Awakening. The rise of the teaching movement. This movement not only promoted religion in the colonies' atmosphere, it also inspired the pursuit of religious freedom. Also, in the 1740s, take Virginia, the British colonies represented by the colonies start a scramble to buy Indian land. Because the British royal family insists land acquisition, it must be made through legal purchase. In 1754, the French-Indian War broke out. Both sides of this war, the North American colonies under the British Empire and the French colonies, both sides are supported by multiple Indian tribal allies. 2 years after the war broke out, Britain officially declared war on France. The 7 Years' War began. 1762, Spain, to invade Portugal, an ally of Britain, chose to ally with France and join the war. However, this alliance ultimately failed. Spain ceded the port of Havana to Britain. The following year, according to the Treaty of Paris, Spain offers Britain the return of Havana port, cession of Florida to the British. Also, in the Treaty of Paris, France has colonized what is now Canadian territory, ceded to England. The British then established the province of Quebec here. The province encompassed a large part of what is now the United States. At the same time, it will also be in the part east of the Mississippi River to the mountains, ceded to England, and west of the Mississippi River, Louisiana area. According to the previous year, the Fontaine-Egret Treaty, signed by France and Spain, ceded to Spain. However, this war, it placed a heavy financial burden on the British Empire. To maintain the cost of maintaining troops in the North American colonies, UK starts. A series of double taxes were imposed on the North American colonies. This includes the Tang Tax Act of 1764. The law prohibited the colonies from importing rum and all cane not from the Andres Islands, tariffs on sugar imports, and the Stamp Act of 1765. Request for business documents, newspapers, books, etc. are subject to stamp. The colonists strongly opposed these taxes. Many protests were launched, eventually forced the UK to repeal the Stamp Act. But by 1767, the UK has passed a series of bills to levy payroll taxes. This again aroused the dissatisfaction. The upheaval in Massachusetts Bay was particularly intense. In 1769, Spain launched the Portola expedition. This expedition, led by Don Gaspar de Portola from Baja California, it was the first time a European had passed through what is now California. Expedition. This expedition began the process of Spanish colonization of the region. In the same year, the city of Santiago was established. To calm the unrest in Massachusetts Bay province, the British government dispatched troops to the colony. Finally, in 1770, it caused a Stone massacre. After the tragedy, the UK abolished most of the double taxation, but for the symbolic defense of the British Parliament, the right to tax colonies, retained the tax on tea. In 1773, in order to assist the British in financial difficulties, East India Company, the British Parliament passed the tax inspection law awarded to the East India Company in the North American colonies, tea trade monopoly. This bill triggered the Boston Inventory. Protesters will target the East India Company tea leaves on 3 cargo ships into the sea. This event led to the British colonies. The conflict with the British royal family has escalated sharply. The British government immediately took retaliatory measures, closed Boston Harbor, and passed the Intolerance Act. Abolished partial self-government privileges in Massachusetts Bay Province. In 1774, except for the Georgia colony, other colonies sent representatives, heading to the Philadelphia route. The First Continental Congress was established, designed to coordinate the colonies' action against the British royal family. The colonists who later opposed the British, called a patriot, colonists who remained loyal to the British Crown. It is called the First Continental Congress of the Loyalists, passed the Continental Union Act, achieved colonization. The people boycotted the agreement of the British merchants by not importing, do not consume, a peaceful way not to export British goods. Call on the UK to repeal the Intolerance Act. In response, the British Parliament has declared Massachusetts Bay Province enter a state of rebellion and pass a restraint bill, limit the North American colony, trade with the British West Indies colonies. Also banning ships in New England, cod fishing in Newfoundland. The situation is further tense. Finally led to the battle for control of the military supply depot. April 19, 1775. British troops were dispatched to the town of Concord. The goal is to destroy local munitions and arrest the Patriot leader. This action eventually triggered Lexington and Concord. The American Revolution officially broke out. June of the same year. Second Continental Congress. The Patriot militias everywhere formally reorganized into the Continental Army and appointed George Washington as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. In 1776, politician Thomas Jefferson drafted the American Declaration of Independence. This declaration, it is based on the ideas of the Enlightenment and liberalism. The full name is the Common Declaration of the 13 United States of America. The declaration was drafted by a committee of 5. Committee members include Thomas Jefferson of Virginia, John Adams of Massachusetts, represent Pennsylvania, Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania, Roger Sherman representing Connecticut, and Robert Livingston representing New York State. Finally, the second session of this declaration was held in Philadelphia at the Continental Congress. Officially declare 13 colonies, become a sovereign state, no longer subject to British colonial rule. It also marks the official legalization of the American Revolutionary War. At the same time, in western North America, Portola expedition arrives in San Francisco Bay, and the city of San Francisco was founded. The following year, delegates from 28 towns met, declare independence from the British colonies. A new regime was established. During the Revolutionary War, the Continental Army fought many battles with the British. October 1777, at the Battle of Saratoga, the Colonial Army defeated the British for the first time. This victory greatly encouraged the law country and Spain. The two countries then decided to form an alliance with the American Revolutionaries. This balanced the military and naval power of the United States and the United Kingdom. Of Saratoga. Therefore, it is also regarded one of the crucial victories for American independence. From 1778, the focus of the war shifted to southern North America. At first, the British Army achieved several important victories in the South. For example, the Siege of Charleston in May 1780 is the Patriot Army. The worst pain suffered during the Revolutionary War. One of the failures, 1781, 44 colonists and 4 new Spanish soldiers established Angeltown on the west coast of North America. This town, it later developed into the current city of Los Angeles. Same year, after a series of victories in the southern battlefield, the Patriot Army took control of the Carolinas and most of Georgia. Then the Battle of Chesapeake on September 5th, and the Siege of Yorktown on October 19th. Continuous strength of the British Army. A messenger was sent to negotiate surrender. After 12 hours of negotiations, the British officially surrendered. 1783. The United Kingdom and the United States signed the Treaty of Paris. The American Revolutionary War officially ended. According to the treaty, Britain relinquishes control of the Ohio Valley, recognized the western border of the United States extending to the Mississippi River. Florida was returned to Spain. 31 degrees north latitude. The southern border identified as a U.S. territory. 1787. The Ohio Valley became the Northwest Territory. In 1789, the Spanish in what is now Canada, Nuxa Bay, on the west coast, established the outpost of Santa Cruz de Nuxa. The outpost. The station controls a large territory in northwestern North America. Since then, Spain has been in the region. The seizure of several British merchant triggered the Nuxa crisis. Also in 1789, the Constitution of the United States of America was officially adopted. Famous heroes in the American Revolutionary War. George Washington became the first president of the United States. The following year, Congress passed the Housing Act, decided to establish a national capital. The specific location is determined by the President. Same year, donated in Virginia and Maryland. On land, along the Potomac River, Watson's establishment. The city's official name is the District of Columbia. In 1790, to resolve the Nuxa crisis, the parties involved signed the Nuxa Convention. The area was agreed upon by Spain and the United Kingdom. Same year as management. Land west of North Carolina was ceded to U.S. federal government, become the Southwest Territory. In addition, 1790 also ushered in the Second Great Awakening. It was a Protestant revival, spreading religion through trails, and gave rise to a series of social reform movements. In 1791, Vermont joined the United States, becoming the 14th state in the United States. The following year, Kentucky County separated from Virginia, joined the Federation, becoming the 15th state in the United States. In 1794, the Third Nuxa Convention was signed. Spain and the United Kingdom abandoned control of the Nuxa region. The following year, the two countries officially withdrew their troops from the region. In 1796, part of the Southwest Territory was demarcated. Tennessee. The state became the 16th state in the United States. In 1798, a piece of Georgia in Asia was once owned by the United States, become Mississippi Territory. November 17, 1800, the second President of the United States. During the Adams administration, the United States Congress held its first session in Washington. Washington officially became the United States of America, of the United States. This is how America was born. American Revolutionary War. It opened the way for the development of North American capitalism. But there were problems in society at that time, such as slavery, but also for the future development of this fledgling country. The challenge of the period. This history also shows us that any historical process is unique, unfolded in the context of a fixed era. In the next issue, we will learn about the Western Gin movement and crucial events in American history. American Civil War. Throughout human history, great empires, there is no one like America, obviously thousands of miles away from other continents, yet able to achieve such deep global control. The land area of the United States is 9.37 million square kilometers, the fourth largest country in the world. So how did he develop into the world economy and military? The first power. I will make a series of videos to explain the history of American development. This video is the third installment. After years of war, 13 colonies finally broke free from British rule. Win independence. The Federal Republic of the United States of America was born. After American independence, national territorial organization work began immediately. Based on the 13 colonies where the country was originally established, newly acquired territory, new states continue to be formed. In 1796, the United States established a two-party political system. One side is made up of the Federalist Party, founded by Alexander Hamilton. The other was led by Thomas Jefferson. The Democratic-Republican Party, founded by James Madison. In 1798, the Mississippi Territory was established. In 1800, the Northwest Territories were partitioned, and the Indiana Territory was born. March 1801, Thomas Jefferson was elected the third President of the United States. The following year, the territory of Georgia was divided in two, established the boundaries of what is now the state. March 1, 1803, Thomas Jefferson signs Bill of Congress. Ratify the Ohio Constitution. Make it the 17th state in the United States. Napoleon had to raise money. Another corresponding war has been launched. The Louisiana area is considered too large, too far, difficult to govern. So they decided to sell Louisiana to the United States. The price was approximately $15 million at the time. The United States thus obtained 2.14 million square kilometers of territory, almost doubled in size. In 1804, from the Louisiana Valley, divide the territory of Orleans, a territory in western Georgia, was incorporated into the Mississippi Territory. Spain was in the southwest of what is now North America. The official establishment of Upper California, incorporating it into the colonial territory of New Spain. In 1805, the bailiwick of Louisiana was changed to Louisiana Territory. Indiana Territory is partitioned. Michigan Territory established. Shortly after the end of the American Revolution, northern countries, the state was the first to pass the first abolition law. By 1805, slavery has been abolished in most northern states. Early 19th century midnight, a movement to abolish slavery in other states gradually rise. However, with the invention of the cotton press, the cotton industry in the southern United States expanded rapidly. It created a demand for slave labor. Sharp increase. In 1809, the Indiana Territory was divided again. Create new territory. In 1810, American colonists in West Florida launch an uprising against Spanish rule. Ultimately, most of the territory of the Spanish colonies incorporated into the territory of Orleans, 1812. Louisiana Territory was renamed the Missouri Territory. Territory of Orleans joins the Union. It became the 18th state in the United States, Louisiana. In the same year, the United Kingdom supported North American opposed the establishment tribes of U.S. settlements in the Northwest Territories. This behavior increased tensions between the UK and the US. This eventually led to the War of 1812. The war continued until 1815. The two countries sign a peace treaty. The treaty was ratified by the U.S. Congress. In 1816, the Indiana Territory joined the Union. It became the 19th state in the United States, Indiana. 1817. James Monroe was elected the 5th President of the United States, and thus began a period of harmony in American history. This period, it reflects the American sense of national mission and the will to unite. December of the same year, the Mississippi Territory was partitioned. The western region joins the Federation. It became the 20th state in the United States, Mississippi. The eastern region became Alabama Territory. In 1818, the southern part of the Illinois Territory became Illinois. The northern region was incorporated into the Mystic Territory. Same year, the United States and Britain signed the London Convention of 1818. It is stipulated that the 49th parallel north latitude shall be the border from what is now northern Minnesota, extending into the Rocky Mountains. Also, in 1818, the U.S. Army invaded Florida and controlled the area. The following year, the Treaty of Adams-Onis was signed. Russia and Spain officially give up the territorial claims to the Oregon Territory. The United States and Britain acquire territorial rights in the area and start co-managing. Still, 1819, Alabama Territory joins the Union. Alabama became the 22nd state in the United States. The Missouri Territory was partitioned. Arkansas Territory established. The following year, northern Massachusetts seceded. Maine became the 23rd state in the United States. 1821, parts of Missouri Territory joined the Union. Missouri became the 24th state in the United States. Also, in 1821, Mexico wins independence. According to the Treaty of Adams, the border between the United States and the United States, Spain ceded Florida to the United States. The United States paid $5 million to Spain. The following year, the territory of Florida was officially established. Around 1824, the first political party system in the United States is coming to an end. In 1828, the second party system was launched. Democratic-Republicans split, and so the Democratic Party was born. 1830. The U.S. Congress passes the Indian Removal Act, authorized the president to negotiate treaties with indigenous tribes, aboriginal lands in the southeast, in exchange for land west of the Mississippi River. Purpose is to expel the native people of southeastern North America. 1834. Louisiana, land in the land structure that has not yet been incorporated into the territory of Michigan. Same year, revolution breaks out in Texas, Mexico, and declared independence the following year. In 1836, the Republic of Texas was officially established. In the same year, Arkansas Territory joined the Federation. It became the 25th state in the United States. Arkansas. The Michigan Territory was partitioned. Wisconsin Territory established. The following year, the Michigan Territory joined the Union. Michigan became the 26th state in the United States. Also, in 1837, City of Houston established. It became the temporary capital of the Republic of Texas. In 1838, the territory of Westcom was divided into Iowa. Watts Territory established. The 1840, the Second Great Awakening, which began in 1790, reached its peak. It spawned a number of reform movements, including the Lung Slavery Movement and the Prohibition Movement. March 1845, Florida Territory joins the Union, becoming the 27th state in the United States. December of the same year, the Republic of Texas was annexed by the United States. Joined the Union as the 28th state, Texas. In 1846, the United States and Britain signed the Treaty of Oregon, the border between British North America and the United States, extending along the 49th parallel north to the Strait of Georgia. Manifest Destiny was a very popular cultural idea. The concept holds that the North American colonists were destined to expand North America. Driven by American expansionism, the American War broke out in 1846. Cause of war: it's a contest for territory in northern Mexico. December of the same year, Iowa Territory joins the Union. Iowa became the 29th state in the United States. The War of 1848 ended with an American victory. The two sides signed the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Mexico was forced to cede its northern territory to the United States. In the same year, the California Gold Rush began. Carpenter James Wilson Marshall. Gold was discovered in what is now the Coloma region. This news attracted about 300,000 from across the United States and two other parts of the world. California. Still, 1848, parts of Wisconsin Territory joined the Federation. Became the 30th state in the United States, Wisconsin. The following year, the Minnesota Territory was established. 1850, New Mexico Territory and Utah Territory are established. California joins the Federation. It became the 31st state in the United States, California. 1853, to set aside part of the Oregon Territory. Establishment of the Washington Territory. In 1854, Mexican President Antonio López de Santa Anna, a territory in northern Mexico, sold to the United States. The deal is known as the Canadian Investment Structure. Further expansion of U.S. territory. In the same year, the Kansas-Nebraska Act was passed. The act created the Kansas Territory and Nebraska Territory. It aims to open up new land. A transcontinental railway was built. At the same time, the Act also established Indian Reservation as a resettlement area for Native Americans. Thereafter, against the abolition of slavery in the Kansas-Nebraska activists formed the Republican Party. The party joins the Democratic Party, the two major political parties in the United States today. Still, 1854. Native Americans attacked 31 American soldiers. It triggered a series of Indian Wars. 1858. Parts of the Minnesota Territory joined the Union. It became the 32nd state in the United States. Minnesota. Mid-19th century. The expansion of slavery became the core contradiction of America. Opposition to slavery in the northern United States. A policy of abolition. Some people believe that owning slaves is a sin. Demand the immediate abolition of slavery. The American South generally supported slavery. Insists that slavery is economically important for whites. It's social and cultural. Southern society, based on slavery, through the production of cotton and other agricultural products, accumulated a great deal of wealth. Some areas even profited from inter-slave trade. Supporters of slavery say, if the slave economy were to end suddenly, it will have a severe economic impact on the southern region due to the economy of the total dependence on slave labor. 1859, Fenwist leader John Brown initiated the famous John Brown Raid. He tried to start a slave rebellion in the southern states, take control of Virginia, Harper's Ferry's arsenal. But in the same year, Federal Marines attacked the arsenal. 10 raiders were killed in the attack. 7 more raiders were subsequently tried and executed. This incident sparked violent unrest across the United States. Same year, the western part of the Oregon Territory joins the Union, becoming the 33rd state in the United States. Oregon. The eastern region was incorporated into Washington Territory. In 1860, he firmly supported the abolition. Abraham Lincoln was elected President of the United States and took office in 1861. In the same year, 7 southern states seceded from the United States. A separatist regime was established. Confederate States of America. Genon, Confederation. Jefferson, who supported slavery. Davis became President of the Confederacy. April 12. Confederate troops attacked a city in South Carolina. The U.S. military installation at Fort Sumter. The American Civil War officially broke out. After the war broke out, Virginia, Arkansas, North Carolina, and other states also joined the Confederacy. In response, Lincoln asked the states to send troops to retake the fort, defend the capital, and maintain federal unity. On July 21st, the First Battle of Bursey broke out. This is the first time for the armies of the North massive confrontation. Same year, parts of Kansas Territory joined the Union, becoming the 34th state in the United States, Kansas. From Kansas Territory, parts of land are set aside in Utah Ridge, establishing the Colorado Territory and the Nevada Territory, to set aside part of the Nebraska Territory. Establishment of the Dacta Territory. January 1st, 1863. Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. In the Confederacy, 3.50 million, the legal status of slaves changed to free persons. In the same year, the Aida River Territory was established. Virginia was partitioned. West Virginia was established, becoming the 35th state in the United States and the only one. A state that broke away from the Confederate States. Union troops win the siege of Vicksburg. Take control of the Mississippi River, so as to divide the territory of the Confederacy. The following year, the Federal Army successfully captured Atlanta, Georgia. This decisive victory turned the tide of the war. It also laid the foundation for President Lincoln's re-election. 1864 Nevada Territory joins the Union, becoming the 36th state in the United States. Nevada, Ada, and the territory are divided. Montana Territory established April 14th of the same year. President Lincoln was assassinated while watching a play. The assassins supported the Confederacy. Actors who opposed the abolition of slavery. John Wilkes Booth. May 25, 1865. Confederate Army. They were defeated and surrendered at the Battle of Appomattox. The American Civil War is officially over. December 18th of the same year, the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution was officially promulgated. Completely abolished slavery in the United States. American Civil War. It is considered to be the first true event in world industrial warfare in the sense. In the midst of war, the telegraph and the steamship were mass. This war, the deadliest war in American history. About 750,000 soldiers died. The number of civilian casualties cannot be accurately counted. Formally, through this difficult journey in the United States is finally coming to an end. In the next video, we will learn about the last few states of the United States. How was it established? How did the United States participate in both world wars? And beauty. How did the country become the largest military in the world? And economic powerhouses. Thank you for your support. See you next time. A country that has risen from the ashes of civil war. How can it be achieved in less than 80 years? Transform into a superpower that dominates the world. Welcome to the show. The fourth installment of the series of videos on the development of the United States. After the American Civil War, the national economy is dying. Many cities were reduced to rubble. America enters a rebuilding phase. The country's development and industrialization also opened since then. This period, the United States is committed to national reconstruction, push for the former Confederate states to rejoin the Union. On the other hand, it has also begun to eliminate slavery in politics, the residual social and economic impact. However, American society, after the serious political and social racial discrimination persists. This led to a series of violent incidents. March 1, 1867, Nebraska Territory officially joins the Union, become the 37th state in the United States. Nebraska. Also this year, the United States was informed since 1856, during the Crimean War, after the defeat of France and Great Britain, has been facing financial difficulties, and Russia's territory in America, Alaska, possible to sell. Secretary of State William Henry Seward, then to the Russian side, make a request to acquire the territory. The Russian Tsar Alexander II believed that Alaska is a heavy burden and difficult to defend. So they agreed to sell it to the United States. March 30, 1867, the two parties complete the acquisition of the territory. October 18th of the same year, this Russian territory in America, officially handed over to the United States, become part of the United States. It was established as an administrative district of Alaska. This acquisition added to the United States 1.71 million square kilometers of territory. The following year, the Dakota Territory was divided. The Wyomingling was born. Reconstruction period, the development of the remote western United States, accelerating the colonial process. In 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad has provided an important boost to this process. During this period, as the colonists continued invasion of Indian land, more than 40 conflicts broke out. This series of conflicts, it was called the American Indian War. 1868, the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. The 15th Amendment to the Constitution was adopted in 1870. The introduction of these two amendments, a newly freed black slave, have the same civil rights as white citizens. But this move, intense controversy in the southern United States, and gave birth to the Ku Klux Klan, White League, white supremacist groups like the Red Mountain Army. In 1876, the Colorado Territory joined the Colorado became the 38th state in the United States. The following year, entered the Gilded Age. This period, America's wealth and prosperity achieved explosive growth, but it was accompanied by massive government corruption. Around the 1880s OS, there was a wave of immigration from Europe to the United States. These immigrants, it has provided sufficient labor for the development of American industry. 1884, Alaska District 2, Alaska District. November 1889, Dakota Territory split. North Dakota and South Dakota were established. Montana Territory joins the Union. Montana became the 41st state in the United States. Washington Territory. It also officially became the 42nd state in the United States. May 1890. Oklahoma Territory established. July of the same year. Ida, River Territory, and Wyoming Territory. It became the 43rd and 44th state in the United States, respectively. Also this year, industrial output and per capita income more than any country in the world, to become the world's largest economy. However, immigrant workers who came to the United States lack professional skills, ultimately, only in mining plants, manufacturing plants, and agriculture for a living. Poverty. The social inequality of furniture, in addition to the harsh working environment, it gave birth to the American labor movement. Workers organized frequent strikes and contract labor actions. In 1893, a severe economic crisis broke out in the United States. History calls the Panic of 1893. The crisis has led to a significant decrease in wages, and from farmers to entrepreneurs are affected. Many railway companies went bankrupt. The labor movement also intensified. Numerous strikes broke out. In 1896, his territory joined the Union. Utah became the 45th state in the United States. In the same year, the United States entered the Progressive Era. This period, the middle class is against corruption and the government. Inability to solve urban and industrial problems. Emotions are rising. Driven the rise of social activism. The progressive movement was born. During this period, a number of laws were introduced. Industries such as railways and pharmaceuticals are regulated. For the benefit of the Caribbean region, the United States intervened in the Cuban War. The Spanish-American War was officially launched on April 21, 1898. Before, the USS Maine sank in Havana Harbor, become one of the triggers of war. Relying on military superiority, the United States quickly won the war. The war ended on August 13th of the same year. The Treaty of Paris, signed in 1898, entered into force on April 11th, 1899. According to the contract, the United States has won over the Philippines, Pacific, Guam, and the Caribbean stripped of control, while temporarily taking over Cuba. Victory in the Spanish-American War placed the United States opened the era among the great overseas powers. Expansion. August 12, 1898. With the support of the United States, leader of the Republic of Hawaii, Sanford Doyle and Lauren Thurston, push for the incorporation of the Republic of Hawaii into December 2nd of the same year. The United States, the United Kingdom, and Germany signed the second eruption in 1897 ended. Samoan Civil War. According to the convention, the United States gained access to 5 islands and 2 rings. Control of the transaction. These territories became unincorporated territories of the United States. American Samoa. April 1900. Hawaii Organic Law passed. The official establishment of the Hawaiian region. In 1902, Cuba officially gained independence. The United States will take control of Cuba. Transferred to the Cuban government. President Theodore Roosevelt believed that control a connection Atlantic and Pacific shipping lanes, significant military and economic significance for the United States. So, in 1904, the United States took over the construction of the Panama Canal. The project was first initiated by the French in 1880. But it was shelved due to engineering problems. 1907. Oklahoma Territory merged with Indian Territory. Joined the Federation together. Oklahoma became the 46th state in the United States. January 1912. New Mexico Territory joins the Union, became the 47th state in the United States. February of the Arizona same year, Territory becomes the 48th state of the United States. Arizona, in August. Alaska was upgraded to a state. December 23, 1913. Influenced by the Progressive Movement, Federal Reserve System. The U.S. central banking system is officially established. In 1914, under the leadership of the United States, after a decade of construction, the Panama Canal, official navigation. This canal has greatly promoted the development of the United States and trade in the Far East. The First World War broke out this year. President Woodrow Wilson of the United States declares that the United States remains neutral in the conflict. May 7, 1915. Royal cruisers. The Lusitania departed from New York. Go to Liverpool. The ship was carrying 1,962 people. En route. The cruise ship was sunk by a German Imperial submarine. 1,198 people were killed. January 1917. British intelligence. A letter named The Secret Communication of the Chimmerman Telegraph. The content is that Germany proposes an alliance with Mexico. This incident directly prompted the United States declared war on Germany on April 6 of the same year. In 1917, the United States also signed a treaty Single with West Indies Treaty for around $25 million, acquired Denmark, West Indies in the Caribbean. Thereafter, the islands are officially part of the United States. They're called the Virgin Islands. After the United States officially joined World War I, large amounts of American money, food and ammunition quickly arrived in Europe. In 1918, the American Expeditionary Force was dispatched to the European continent, side by side with the Allies. Against the Allies, November 11, 1918, the end of the First World War. America won with the Allies. Also, in 1918, Spanish flu epidemic sweeps us. As of 1919, the epidemic killed about 675,000 Americans. January 1919. The 18th Amendment to the United States Constitution prohibition was established. Prohibition of the production of alcoholic beverages, transportation, and sales. This policy directly leads to the proliferation of the illegal alcohol trade. It gave birth to a large number of alcohol smugglers. In the same year, the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was empowering women to vote. Since 1920, the U.S. economy continues to grow, gradually become a stronger economy, and military powers. This period, the United States passed the stricken Allies, exported food and industrial products, earned huge profits. The economy grew by leaps and bounds. However, by the end of the 1920s, European economies are gradually recovering. The demand for imports of US goods has dropped sharply. There is an oversupply of goods in the market, cause prices to fall. Production curtailment, unemployment rate rises. Ultimately, it triggered the economic crisis of 1929, and the stock market crashed. 1932, then Democratic presidential candidate Roosevelt, commitment to the New Deal, bringing new hope to the American people. The New Deal includes a series of permanent reform programs, covers unemployment benefits, help the elderly, youth employment, unemployment insurance, and other welfare measures. In 1933, Roosevelt was elected president of the United States. Early days of office. To increase job opportunities, raise tax revenue, the United States has passed the 21st Amendment to the Constitution, prohibition. This move has excited the American people. In response to the growing threat of war, the U.S. Congress passed a series of neutrality laws, avoid getting involved in international conflict. But with the outbreak of World War II, this incident adds drama, the American people. Opposition to German ideology, the United States gradually became the opposite of the Axis powers. Early World War II, President Roosevelt positioned the arsenal of democracies as commitment to the UK, the Soviet Union and China provided massive financial and arms support. March 1941, Roosevelt signs the Lend-Lease Act. The United States war effort for the Allies provided a wide range of support. This includes funding industrial product, food, oil, and technology innovation, but no direct military assistance was provided. The central goal of the United States is to maximize domestic economic production. This move has contributed to a significant increase in U.S. stimulated consumption. Finally, ended the unemployment problem in the country. December 7, 1941. To stop the U.S. Pacific Fleet, Japanese military operations in Southeast Asia, the Imperial Japanese Naval Air Force attacked suddenly in Hawaii, Pearl Harbor naval base. This attack caused huge military losses to the United States. Next day, the United States Congress officially declared war on the Japanese Empire. The United States was officially involved in World War II. The United States sees Germany as the greatest threat. Therefore, priority was given to the European and joined the Battle of the Atlantic with the Royal Navy, joining forces with the Royal Canadian Navy against the German Navy, Air Force and Royal Italian Navy. March 1942, Roosevelt orders General MacArthur, developed in the Pacific region, coordinate with Australia's defense plan. The United States began military operations in the Pacific. June 1942, the Battle of Midway broke out. The United States defeats the Imperial Japanese Navy. The battle became a turning point in the Pacific battlefield. It is also regarded by many as the most important naval battle of World War II. November 8, 1942. Operation Torch launched. American troops enter the battlefield in North Africa. Under the command of Eisenhower, The Americans launched an attack on the Germans. For the Allied victory in North Africa, laid the foundation. 1943. Italian fascist government leader Benito. The fall of Mussolini. Italy turned to join the Allies. June 6, 1944. The Earth and the Sun come. More than 156,000 soldiers landed in Normandy. Launch Operation Overlord. The Allies defeated the Germans. Began the process of French liberation. This battle, for the Allied victory on the Western Front. The significance of. With the victory in Europe, the situation gradually became clear. The United States will devote more energy to the Pacific battlefield and achieved a series of key victories. The Battle of Leyte Bay, on October 26, 1944. It was the largest naval battle in history. More than 200,000 men. Ultimately, the Allies liberated the Philippines. The Battle of Iwo Jima, on March 26, 1945. The Americans captured Iwo Jima. The island became an important base for subsequent operations against Japan. The Battle of Okinawa, on June 22, 1945. It was in the Pacific. One of the fiercest battles. In addition, in the United States, in collaboration with the UK and the Manhattan Project successfully developed the first nuclear weapon. August 6, 1945, US Air Force drop an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan. On August 9, another atomic bomb was dropped on long-term, forced Japan to surrender. World War II officially ended. After World War II, the United States became the world's two dominant superpowers together. The geopolitical tensions between the two countries, gradual escalation. The Cold War began.